The Springboks are on top of the rugby world right now and have been smashing up the year, winning 11 out of 13 tests, which is an 85% win rate. Oh, and they're the current back-to-back World Cup winners and have beaten the All Blacks the last 4 in a row, a feat not repeated in 76 years. This, and some other reasons we'll reveal, is why Razor's All Blacks should fear Rassie Springboks. Now, the 2024 season end saw the Kiwis limp home after their Italian excursion with a weak 29-11 win over the Azzurri, with, I might add, their best 15. On the other hand, the Springboks had been in devastating form, capping their year off with a 3 out of 3 at the Autumn Nations Series, something they hadn't done since 2013. For your information, this isn't just any Springboks team. Many argue that this is the best Springboks team ever. The All Blacks, on the other hand, are a shadow of themselves and finished the year physically and psychologically wasted. Right now, the balance of power is in Rassie's hands, and Razor knows it. As the South Africans love to sing, in your head, Rassie, Rassie. The Boks are all over the Kiwis right now, with an 80% plus strike rate for the Boks, while New Zealand are barely hitting 70. They have the psychological advantage, knowing that 3 times Razor's All Blacks were given opportunity to exact revenge on that 1-point Rugby World Cup final, red card loss, and 3 times they failed. While they can argue shoulda, coulda, woulda, the fact is they didn't. The 4 in a row losses hanging over them like a dark cloud. Meanwhile, Rassie is trying to figure out how to make that 6 in a row. Scary thought. As you can imagine, when you're facing an opponent you've beaten 4 times in a row, you're in the zone and already have outpsyched them before you even meet. On the other hand, for Razor and the All Blacks, the voice of doubt will be ringing loud and long. And before they can even win that battle on the field, they long must win that battle in their head. Now, before we go any further, please like, subscribe and share, it really helps out our channel. Rassie's advantage isn't only psychological. Let's take a quick look at squad depth of both these teams. Rassie has got so much depth on his squad that he's been rearranging every which way just for fun. This is the only team in the world, in any sport, where the bench is arguably better than the starting lineup, with the likes of Ox Nche, Snyman, Marks and Eben waiting to be injected fresh in the last quarter of the game when the other team is out of gas. Think bomb squad.
7 changes in 1 go.
Jeff Wilson, former All Black and rugby pundit, said of the Springboks, they got something called the hybrid player, and that's why they can run the 6-2 bench. One only has to look at how Rassie's used players like Cheslin Kolbe to see what Goldie means. Last year we saw Kolbe putting the ball in the scrum, throwing in the line out and kicking duties. And that's just one example.
So you've had Cheslin Kolbe thrown into the line out, and everyone's saying, okay, well that's really inventive, but why is it inventive? It's inventive because if Cheslin Kolbe is thrown into the line-out, you've now got 8 forwards ready to hit that maul instead of 7. We're not waiting for the hooker to come in and get an advantage, slowing down the maul.
While Rassie's side boast a wide range in age, one of their recent matches against the ABs boasted 13 players who are 30 years old. You can't find that kind of experience just anywhere. On the same game, the All Blacks had just 7 players who were 30. That's almost a 50% experience advantage to the Boks. Note, 2024 also saw the farewell of All Blacks greats Sam Cane, TJ Perenara and Ardie Savea. What Clutch Rugby finds amazing though is the New Zealand talking heads are still asking, is D-Mac a 10 or 15? Is Jordan an 11 or a 15? Is Satiti an 8 or a 6? This is the All Blacks we're talking about. Like seriously. Meanwhile, Rassie's like flipping coins for who's going to play 10 this week. Pollard, Hendrikse or Libert.
And here he is from 49 metres to win this semi-final. Handre Pollard sends it through.
How about 4 and 5? Got plenty to choose from? Snyman, Mostert, Ruin. Oh, let's not forget there's somebody called Eben. And don't forget they have a forward who can also play in the back line in Quagga Smith. World Player of the Year, PSDT, he plays lock too. This is what's called an embarrassment of riches, and it doesn't stop there. Now they're asking the question, do the All Blacks need mongrel? Do they need dog? Duh, of course you have to have mongrel. You have to have dog if you want to beat the Boks. And if you're still asking this question this late in the programme, the All Blacks do have a problem. It's called the Springboks. Rassie Springboks has the dominant edge over Razor's All Blacks in the depth department. Worrying signs, unless you're South African.
Are we becoming too nice in our rugby? A bit of mongrel, niggle, passion is essential to win. We don't have anyone getting under the skin of the opposition. I want to see someone thumping the table and getting passionate.
Meanwhile, New Zealand's award winner, Young Player of the Year, Wallace Sititi, he's on the injury list. A minor meniscus 3-week procedure has now become a potential 1-year deal. While Clutch Rugby doesn't take satisfaction in injury, and we wish him a speedy recovery, we're just noting that the 2024 standout was going to be a pivotal part of Razor's team. So what now? Reorganise again? Now does he bring Sotutu in? They played Sititi over and over. They basically ran him into the ground. Is it because of Razor's narrow, conservative top-down selection squad? I don't know. What do you think? Now, in the area of innovation and freshness, Rassie has been pushing the envelope in World Rugby for some time. His bomb squad, red and green lights, being the water boy, and then there was that high tackle legal limit episode. Oh yeah, and criticising the referees for a good long while on Twitter. Was it an hour?
And Rassie holds up the light time. What are we making of this?
I like it. I think it's great. I think
Surprise.
it's not AI, it's not blockchain, but it is innovative. No, it's Rassie Erasmus being Rassie Erasmus.
He's not afraid to speak his mind, and he's definitely not afraid to break out of the box. 7-1 split, scrum in 22 in a high-stakes knockout game, where even the ref is asking, are you sure? Do you realise how arrogant you need to be to call a play like that? That's ultimate confidence. That's Rassie Erasmus for you. And World Rugby responded by changing the law. Speed it up, they said. Yeah, right. Now the question is, what else does Rassie have up his sleeve? Former All Black Justin Marshall remarked that Rassie has already been evolving towards the next World Cup, referring to the 27-20 win over Ireland in Pretoria, where we saw the Springboks playing that expansive game. The backs were playing deep with the loose men on the edges, running at speed, gaining the advantage line. This thanks to the introduction of attack coach Tony Brown. Fellow Kiwi Jeff Wilson noticed that the All Blacks couldn't find space on the outside in their autumn international game against Ireland. Although they managed to win that game, it was boring, unremarkable, and fraught with errors on both sides. It's equal parts of what the Springboks have versus what New Zealand doesn't. While there was a call for Razor to bleed new players, the pressures exerted by Rassie's squad denied him that luxury, so new players didn't have an opportunity to be on the run-on squad. While Rassie is looking for how to take the Springboks to another level with his sights set on a 2027 three-peat. Of course, it's a long time between now and then, but you get the picture. He's playing with house money and has the privilege of trying new things and pushing the envelope even further, while other teams just need to plan how they will deal with the Springboks. I'm not saying that they're unstoppable, but at the moment, they kinda are. Now, Rassie's international experience goes back to 2 World Cups and is arguably the best coach the Springboks have ever seen. But of the last 5 All Blacks coaches, Razor's record is the worst, a worrying sign for the ABs. On another note, while South Africa allows their players to play abroad and make some good coin, New Zealand only lets their players play Super Rugby, which we all know has been in a downward spiral. Meanwhile, the South African players are mixing it up hammer and tong with the best of the best in Europe with the URC, Prem and Top 14. The standard of Super Rugby has dropped so low that they've adopted this crazy 6-team semi-final format, which means a losing quarter-finalist can still find their way into the semis. So this is the standard the All Blacks are playing with, not to mention their rivals are from a highly weakened Rugby Australia that hasn't been able to beat New Zealand in the Bledisloe Cup for some 22 years. Meanwhile, South Africa are slogging it out in the URC, where the competition is so fierce that in its 3 years running, a different team has won every year. Because of the fierce competition, by the time a winner is declared, everyone is surprised who won the trophy. There's no 8 years of Canterbury Crusaders style winning in these parts. Now, another reason why the All Blacks should fear the Springboks, the domestic scene comparison between Super and URC is miles apart. I mean, how can you lose a quarter-final and still go into the semis? Super Rugby, you're losing it. The Springboks are the reigning world champions and won't give that title up without a fight. They're the ultimate challenge right now for any team in World Rugby. Such has been the Boks' dominance over the ABs in the recent past that they'll be confident to the point of arrogance that they can end that Eden Park streak come September 2025. That 30-year, 50-game unbeaten record at the All Blacks fortress. It'll be a battle of the decade to be sure. Who are you got? As always, thanks for watching. Make sure you drop a comment down below on why you think the All Blacks should fear the Springboks. Remember to like and subscribe, and as always, stay tuned.